I am now coming to the end of my third riding season with the Aprilia Tuareg 660. And it has been a huge year for my Tuareg. I finished building it into the bike I always wanted it to be. I took it on my #1 bucket list adventure ride, and now I've moved it thousands of miles across the country and am exploring a completely different class of roads, both on-road and off. So, in this video, I want to discuss what I set out to accomplish with the Tuareg earlier this year, how that went, and how well it is or is not going. I also want to provide some of my current thoughts on the Tuareg now that I've had an additional season with it and so much more experience. And now that I bought a second motorcycle, the new Suzuki DRZ4S, I want to talk about what's next for the Tuareg, at least what I think is next at this point in time. Earlier this year, I made a pretty in-depth video discussing the reliability issues I faced with my particular Tuareg, and what my plan was for the future of the bike to make it and keep it a healthier machine. In short, I blamed my primary lingering issues, gasket leaks, on the excess heat generated by this motorcycle due to its overly lean fueling and restrictive catalytic converter, Aprilia's measures for meeting emissions compliance with this motorcycle. To resolve this, I gutted some of the bike's restrictions. As you may or may not be able to see in there, I'm running the open airbox mod with a T12 rally filter, and I've also got a full exhaust system without the catalytic converter by Dominator Exhaust Systems. And this beautiful motorcycle is now running what's called a Stage 3 tune to clean up its fueling and make sure it's got the right air-fuel ratio for the changes I made. While the open airbox and open exhaust have certainly increased the performance potential of this bike, the cleaned up and more optimal fuel mapping drastically improved the riding experience, especially low down in the rev range. I had never really been disappointed with the Tuareg's power delivery, especially since this bike is a 2023 and had some of the initial fueling kinks sorted out before I ever rode it. But once I started riding around my tuned Tuareg, it was hard to believe that the bike was capable of offering the power and smoothness that it now does low down in the rev range. Unfortunately, I can't say how much of this improvement comes from the hardware changes versus how much it comes from the more optimal fueling. The hardware obviously makes a difference, but I know that fuel-injected bikes are far from being optimally tuned and dialed in from the factory, especially in the lower rev ranges where ignition timing and fuel cuts are abused to minimize emissions output instead of maximizing the rider's experience. But thankfully, we can resolve that with the excellent tuning market that we are blessed to have. So performance-wise, I am quite happy with the changes that I made. The increased power is a solid bonus, but the overall smoothness to the rev range is incredible. It is so far ahead of what this bike offered in stock form, and I'm not faulting Aprilia there. I know they need to meet emissions regulations or there's no Tuareg for us. With that being said though, I don't want the bike's stock form to be a complaint. I think the fueling and the fuel delivery was excellent for what it was, and I didn't really have complaints with it. I just noticed how much better it is now that the bike is in Stage 3 form. But I did not make the hardware changes to my Tuareg in order to make it more powerful or improve the riding experience. I made the changes to this bike because I believed it was just running too hot from the factory due to the lean fueling and the overly restrictive catalytic converter that used to be down there by the most common gasket leak on the bike. That seemed like a pretty solid way to reduce the heat generated by the motorcycle as well as make sure the heat generated can get out. The open airbox was just a bonus I threw in for myself since I was going to be doing all of the work and tuning the bike anyway, and to be entirely honest, I'm kind of indifferent on it, and I don't know that I'd recommend anybody do it to their Tuareg. Depending on the conditions someone rides in, it might be a little too unsafe for the long-term engine health. And my big complaint with the open airbox is it's just a little too loud. Even with the silencer out of the exhaust back here, which again, this is a straight piped motorcycle, the open airbox drowns out the sound of the exhaust. It is incredibly, incredibly loud, and the sound muffling provided by the stock airbox is actually quite nice. And that induction noise that this bike has from the factory, I've yet to hear a single person who does not fall in love with it. I have heard reports from folks who've opened their airboxes and run the same T12 rally filter as me, sharing that they've caught dust getting through it and into their airboxes. I did check mine after 1,000 miles of desert riding, and it was spotless, though I did seal mine with maybe a little too much air filter sealing grease during the install. However, let's get back to the heat, which is what I set out to resolve when I made all these changes to my Tuareg. Did it help? Yes, it absolutely helped. My radiator fan very rarely comes on, and the gasket by where the catalytic converter used to be looks quite happy compared to the gasket that used to be there, and that started leaking within the bike's first 500 miles. Many people do report that the engine covers on this bike have many loose bolts, and that tightening the loose bolts help with the common oil leaks, though I can't speak to or confirm that. I can, however, definitely confirm that my engine case on both sides were surprisingly loose on this bike, so definitely check yours out if you haven't already. I still have my stator plug leak, and I've been holding off on cleaning it up over the past few hundred miles so I can share what it looks like if it's not tended to. This is very little oil and has not significantly impacted the oil level of my Tuareg, so it's not really concerning at this point. It's just a little annoying. The gasket and oil leaks are one thing, and to me they are very minor, but I had been encountering reports that people who are hitting higher miles with their Tuaregs and hitting their second valve service on the motorcycle are discovering or being told that their camshafts are a little burnt. I personally plan to keep my Tuareg until it explodes, if it ever does. I love this bike so much, and it is worth so much more to me than what it's worth in terms of dollars. So I want it to last and continue being my go-to adventure weapon of choice. So time will have to tell how the changes I made to the Tuareg do or do not impact the long-term health of this motorcycle, but I'm pretty sure that the hardware changes I made along with the proper fueling for this motorcycle will help drastically with that endeavor. If it's not already pretty clear at this point, 3 years later, I am still excited about my Tuareg 660. As time goes on, I just appreciate this motorcycle even more. I am constantly happier and happier on this thing, and I still can't believe how well Aprilia executed on a bike like this. Now, obviously, this bike is not and has not been perfect, but the reliability issues I've faced have been mostly minor, and next to nothing has interrupted my riding experience with the machine, outside of a rear brake sensor issue the bike had off of the showroom floor, as well as the kickstand bolt breaking off at the worst possible time at the most dangerous portion of Colorado's deadliest mountain pass. Other than that, this bike has held up extraordinarily well. I really can't stress that enough. This bike has been abused for just about all of its life. When I bought the Tuareg, I had all of about 0 off-road experience on a motorcycle. I was a pretty competent enduro mountain biker, but the stature and weight of a bike like this is far from the same game. So basically, I learned technical off-road on this machine, and every single ride it had was an off-road ride. If I was taking the Tuareg out, I was going to some trails to push my limits. For me, the Tuareg has always been an oversized but absurdly capable dual sport, and I will always love the bike for filling that role so extraordinarily well. In my opinion, and let me say that again, my opinion as in not fact, but the way I feel based on the experience I've had, personally, as far as middleweight adventure bikes go, the Aprilia Tuareg 660 is top of the charts for confidence-inspiring middleweight adventure bike when it comes to off-road performance. Its off-road capability is superior to just about every other middleweight option out there, with the exception of the KTMs, though I believe most riders will be more comfortable finding and pushing their limits on a Tuareg. While the KTMs offer peak performance for experienced and confident riders, the aggressive power delivery and higher strung suspension will not inspire the confidence for new adventure riders off-roading. It'll be harsh and it'll be scary. But I am getting off track here. I want to stay focused on the Tuareg and my experience with it. Outside of the reliability issues I've had with this bike, I really only have 2 actual complaints, and they are the 2 things that prevent this bike from feeling absolutely perfect for me. Number 1 is the low fender up front. This bike really deserves a high fender, but due to the way the lines are routed, it's kind of a pain to resolve that, and I'll probably just leave the low fender as is. The 2024 Tuaregs and newer models have pre-drilled bolt points for a high fender install, and we're now seeing the Tuareg rally with its hybrid high front, low rear fender design. So maybe we'll see that change on later Tuareg models as well. Number 2 is mainly my fault, or my body's fault, and it's the windscreen design. For my body size, the wind buffeting is just hitting me in a bad spot, right in the forehead. Altering my riding position isn't a huge help with it, so I just use a windscreen extender that's easy to install and uninstall. And I only bother with it on trips that will have at least an hour or so of highway. Other than that, I can compliment just about everything else on this motorcycle. If you're finding my Tuareg video in 2025 or beyond, you're highly likely to already be quite familiar with this bike, so I'm not going to designate time into this bike's features. Just know that I'm happy with and actually quite impressed with just about every other element of this bike. To wrap up this portion of the video, I will just say that this is my Goldilocks unicorn motorcycle. I knew exactly what I was looking for when I set out to get my first adventure bike, and on paper the Tuareg was that. And I'm extremely happy 3 years later, 3 seasons later, to be saying that adventure noob me somehow made the perfect decision for themselves. I think with the lack of experience I had actually adventure riding, it's an absolute miracle that I landed on the Tuareg 660. It has been everything I've needed it to be and more. I think the Tuareg platform in general has been aging very, very well, and it seems like this bike has been starting to get the recognition it's always deserved from bigger creators who are visiting or revisiting it all of these years later. I know the Tuareg has the big red reliability flag, and that some folks will never give this bike the time of day over that. And while I think that's unfortunate, I do respect that other adventure riders out there know exactly where their priorities are at, and I respect that they put their ride's reliability over just about every other bike characteristic when it comes to making the right decisions for themselves. However, I am also extremely grateful that I am okay with the not-so-Tenere reliability of this Tuareg 660, and I am able to enjoy this machine. When I think to the experiences that I've had on the Tuareg, they are some of the best experiences I've had throughout my entire life, and I believe I'll be blessed enough to have many, many more with this machine right here. So, in short, I absolutely love the Tuareg 660, though I completely understand why other people out there might not. I had always been looking forward to finishing the Tuareg, or getting it to the state that I considered to be the foundation I wanted for my adventures. To be honest with you, it didn't really feel as great as I thought it would to finish the bike and have it be done and ready for everything I expected myself to do on it. It kind of felt like watching my dog get old or something along those lines. It just felt weird to not have that headspace anymore. The bike feels all grown up, and gone are the days where I have dedicated brain space for wondering what's next for it. At this point, I'll just keep upgrading parts and components as they break, if they do break at all. In a perfect world, this is my Tuareg's final form. There are a couple, of course, minor changes and upgrades I'd like to make, but I know that's an endless game, the adventure spending trap. And I'd rather use my extra money to improve the videos or go on actual bigger adventures with the bike I've been building up and getting to know all this time. Plus, I just bought a second motorcycle, the new Suzuki DRZ. I always wanted a DRZ, and it would have been my go-to over the Tuareg, but the DRZ was a little on the small end, and it still had a carburetor, and since the lightweight adventure market wasn't where it's at today, I was pushed into middleweight adventure territory. And thankfully, I landed on the Tuareg. So while the Tuareg is basically complete, I now have a new bike to optimize for my needs, and that will fill the headspace I had previously dedicated to what's next for the Tuareg. I want to be slow and steady with the DRZ, and pick parts that match my long-term goal of having it be the ultimate lightweight adventure bike for my version of adventure. But back to the Tuareg. If anything, I can see myself putting more street-oriented tires on the Tuareg. My skills have improved enough that losing traction off-road is fun instead of scary, and for more extreme rides, I'll always be able to take the DRZ. I may even orient the Tuareg for bigger adventure trips and run a soft pannier setup on it instead of the rackless 80 kit I've used for all of my trips thus far. The Tuareg deserves to be adventured, and while I have hit some big trips on it, I do feel that I've missed out by primarily using it as a big dual sport and not looking for excuses to plot and execute bigger adventure trips like BDRs and other multi-day experiences. But anyway, this was just supposed to be my thoughts on the Tuareg after having a third season with it, and a recap of the changes I made earlier in the year, and how the bike has been holding up since then. And I think I'm now well into the video being a little too long for just that. So with all of that being said, that's where I'm at the end of my third riding season with the Tuareg 660. It's incredible. I am impressed. I love this motorcycle. Let me know what you think about the bike, or any of the thoughts I shared in this video. My videos have somehow been reaching an incredibly supportive community of adventure riders and Tuareg enthusiasts, and I am grateful for that. So, thank you for being here, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.